Hi Erik, I'm going to give you some feedback on your coin and air power task. Um, as you probably already know, you're going to be given feedback on in relation to the PowerPoint presentation that I gave you the first time that we met, or that I gave the class. So I'm going to be using words like global level, local level, etc. If some of these are not making sense, go back and look at the PowerPoint from our first face-to-face session, and that might give you an idea of what the hell is going on. But let me begin with my general impression of your written English. First of all, very sort of clear writing, it's fluent, generally speaking correct, for the most part really correct grammatically, the right choice of words, etc., nuanced as well. It's cohesive, and it's generally coherent. When I say cohesive, it means that at the local level, at word and sentence level, there is cohesion, and at the global level, in terms of the major parts of the text, there is coherence. There is, however, one problem with the structuring, which is also to do with how this task was formulated. The description of the task that we gave you is it falls in two parts. And what a lot of you tend to do is that you write one and then you write two, and then there's no obvious connection between the two parts. And that's a shame, because you really are quite successful in creating coherence within your paragraphs. And within the paragraphs, for instance, in task one, there's good coherence, it makes sense what you're doing, there's like a logical progression throughout the text, but there's no logical progression between one and two. And you have to keep in mind that when we give you a task like this, you can actually solve it by just writing one text. You don't have to write two sort of separate pieces of text. But anyway, consider this for next time. How do you create a text that is coherent all the way through, so that I, as a reader, know why we can talk about coin operations and air power, and then about sort of strategic theory afterwards. You might even want to flip it around and say, this is how the theory would talk about air power, this is what it looks like in a coin operation, and in terms of what it looks like with ISIL. I like that you're very sort of ISIL inherent result specific in your coin part of the text. I think that works very well for you. I think it makes it relevant, and I know from the beginning, what are we talking about? What is this text addressing? However, you don't have an introduction to the text as such. You just sort of begin with task number one, coming back again to the idea that you need coherence all the way through, so that one and two has to logically tie into each other. You need to introduce the text as a text. Tell me what's going to happen and what you want to arrive at. Usually you would do that once you've written the body text and you know what you've actually done. Then you go back and do your introduction. And I need to know how we're going to get from A to B. I need to know what our sort of final destination is in terms of your conclusion in very short, broad terms. And then you need to signpost along the way in your body text, so I know, where am I? Am I still in the descriptive part? Is this analysis? Is this your voice? Or is it a theoretical description? So think about that for the next one, that treat the text as a text, and think of it as having a reader who needs to be guided through this, who needs a map through the text. But just to reiterate, your paragraphs, generally speaking, work really well. I will say that paragraph 4 on the first page has two, I think at least, topic sentences, and needs to be divided into two. I think you say two things that are related but should belong in two paragraphs. Also, you do this thing that you use both a single space and a double space. This, I'm not quite sure when you actually mean for it to be a new paragraph. If you hit enter once, that's usually the signal to the reader, new topic. You do both. You use single and double spacing. keep it consistent, because I'm not really sure what you're trying to say with the layout of the text. It may seem like a small thing, but it's something that you notice straight away. It's the layout, because it's visually how you orientate yourself throughout the text. So just be consistent. Your abbreviations, just remember when you refer to operation inherent resolve, write that out in the first time you use them, then you can use the abbreviation afterwards. Also, I would say there's one thing, because your language is so sort of functions really well and you can convey your message very freely. There's one thing I think you should perhaps consider is commas. There are a few places where a comma would really have helped my reading. I'm used to reading all sorts of English texts produced by students, but in this case it's so fluent that when a comma is missing, it really kind of stands out, because everything else is working, and then suddenly there's this kind of, oh, okay, there's supposed to be a comma here. So look it up, or grab a hold of me if you need a reference for somewhere where you can work on commas, because you've got a lot of good things going on, so you might as well work on that, I think. Okay, so that's it for me. So remember, introduction, structure all the way through. No matter how fragmented the task description seems, your job is to create structure. Make sure that your paragraphs have one thesis sentence only. Outside of that, there's a lot of good things going on. Okay, that's it. I'll see you on Friday. Bye.